Now, Anglo American is becoming an even more likely takeover target, with Xstrata and Glencore's potential merger threatening to leave it dwarfed by three of its closest rivals. Now, Anglo American CEO Cynthia Carroll declined to comment on the deal and said Anglo would be sticking to its plan of developing its pipeline of growth projects. The suggestion has come with the announcement of the Glencore Xstrata deal, potential deal, until it's wrapped up, that Anglo really is in the firing line here, particularly given the 2009 approach by Xstrata, which Anglo spurned. I begin with you. Where do you see that panning out? Is Anglo a target?
I don't think so in the near term, and I might be mistaken. I'm not an expert on corporate finance by any stretch of the imagination.
Sure.
But just obviously Xstrata is being acquired by a company that's already got a 34% stake in the business. Glencore already owns 34%. But there still needs to become a reorganization within the company,
right.
And then from that, they have been it's been very sort of public knowledge that they intend to pursue acquisition opportunities. Whether they want to go and do a mega deal the size of Anglo,
yeah,
and potentially go hostile to do that, I just don't think it's going to happen.
How long would it take them to sort out their house and then perhaps line their guns onto Anglo, do you think?
Well, my thinking is that they will obviously just reorganize, consolidate the merger, providing that they can get it through, obviously,
yeah,
and then look at some projects. We've seen a very acquisitive Glencore operating in the market. They've taken out the zinc mine in Namibia from Xstrata. They've bought some coal assets. They've been quite busy themselves. Xstrata has obviously been built on the deal-making skill of Mick Davis.
Right.
But I think to go after Anglo American, they'd obviously offer a significant premium, and I don't see the Anglo management team going to be too willing to undertake something like that. So yeah, my little 10 cents is that they would end up going hostile for Anglo.
Warren, I'll come back to you and whether you think this deal would make sense if it happened between Anglo and Xstrata, Glencore, or Glencore Xstrata, however they structure that company. Warrick, let me come to you. When you look at Anglo on the charts, do you see a company with enough discount and enough suggestion in terms of pricing to suggest that it could be a takeover target here, and shareholders would justifiably look at any offer that came along and saying, tell you what, we're suffering here?
Look, Godfrey, I think we have seen quite a discount from what 400 to through down to about 200 there, but you can already see that the market's already starting to see a turn in the share price. And how we determine that is by looking at the moving averages and also this trend line from the high, recent high over there, all the way running through to December of last year. And we've seen both the moving averages as resistance being broken out of and being tested and then gone again,
right.
And obviously the trend lines. Now we've gone from making lower highs to higher lows. Excellent bullish sentiment there as well, from a technical perspective. And also it's probably a little bit sloppy, but you've almost got like it's sort of a double bottom, but it should have been over here.
Right.
Okay. But you got like a high low double bottom with a neckline there that's quite small. I mean, we're probably looking at about 20 rand there. And
right.
That's really gone. That's really done business.
So are you saying it's too late to get it?
I don't think so. Generally speaking, I think we have probably run a little bit hard, and that's why we're seeing this pullback at the moment.
Right.
A little bit of pullback. But there isn't much that's saying to me in the short term that you should be bailing. I think you should be adding to the business as it pulls back.
Right. Warren, you want to come in?
Yeah, I mean, it's also Anglo again is very different to BHP, and it does have an iron ore component, but it seems to be a lot more balanced towards the. It's got the diamond business. It's got significant copper assets. It's got the coal business as well.
Yeah.
So just off air, we were talking about what are some of the indicators. Copper and coal still make up a big portion of the Anglo portfolio.
Yeah.
And some of the conversations I've had with resource fund managers is that they like Anglo. They see a lot of value in Anglo
as a standalone business.
No, actually as what they call the rump of Anglo, which is the copper assets, the diamond assets, and the coal assets. The subsidiaries, which include Kumba and Amplats, they think are a little bit overvalued. Kumba because of the iron ore price, and Anglo American Platinum because of the cost profile and the current platinum price. So what they've actually been doing is buying something called the stub, which essentially separates the subsidiaries Kumba Iron Ore,
Right.
Kumba Iron Ore and Amplats from the value of the company, and they buy the stub which is listed on the JSE.
Right.
So just an interesting take on how fund managers like the value in Anglo, but it's
Yeah.
only certain parts, and they've, through financial engineering, been able to exploit that.
Is there a strategic reason for the two? Would it make strategic sense for Glencore Xstrata to look at Anglo? Firstly, from a valuation perspective. Secondly, would they be able to get such a deal through regulators?
Yeah, that is the mysterious black box these days. Is the regulatory hurdles,
yeah.
and BHP came up against that with potash. Who knows what was said between Mick Davis and Cynthia Carroll when
Was a better
when he put
manager,
the offer,
essentially.
yeah, when he put the offer on the table. I think
Yeah.
I think he was politely declined on the Anglo American part.
Yeah.
So I just kind of get the sense that it's not going to go down very well with Anglo management, and they also have a large component of their employee base that own shares in the business as well. I'm
What
not too
about
keen that would be-
shareholders? What about Anglo shareholders?
Anglo shareholders, I'm sure a hard-nosed businessman would look at it and say, well, what's the premium they're going to pay for that asset?
Okay.
Then you get the classic self-fulfilling prophecy where Xstrata's share price will decline and Anglo's will rise, and no one's not quite sure how efficient the combined enterprises will be afterwards. So I personally think Mick Davis will rather pursue, if I could call it, easier targets as he builds size and scale to the new merged.
Even though you
Glencore
would have
Xstrata.
greater muscle. But I have to ask you, hot or not then for you, Anglo American?
I am hot on Anglo American. I think the underlying fundamentals are great, and I think it's attractively priced. So yes, I am hot on Anglo
I'm
American.
hearing opposition to any bid from Glencore Xstrata. Warrick, from your side?
Yeah, I
Hot
think
or not, Anglo?
I think we're hot, Godfrey. Generally, I mean, as I said, we're looking at this level here, this 320 level, 330 level, and then from there, I mean, the sky's the limit. I mean, if you ever look at that angle that's going on over there, that channel.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we could see some sort of pullback retracement to the support over here, and then another run up there to about 365.
So
In the
hot
short term,
or
hot.
not? Hot, too hot, which leads me to ask the question, so why are investors discounting Anglo? What's holding it back? But perhaps that's a discussion for another day.